My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting techniques, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 159. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Luke Steele. The prolific Australian songwriter and musician, after 20 years of fronting different bands, is today releasing his first ever solo record, entitled Listen to the Water. In today's episode, we're speaking with Luke about his take on the current musical landscape, songwriting for his debut record, and if we'll ever see a Sleepy Jackson reunion anytime soon. Here we go. Our guest today is an extremely talented and prolific singer-songwriter from Perth, Australia. Over the last 20 years, he's fronted bands like Empire of the Sun, The Sleepy Jackson, and Dreams, and has worked alongside artists like Daniel Johns, Beyonce, and Usher. Today, he releases his first ever solo record, which is entitled Listen to the Water. Please welcome back to This Song Is Yours, Luke Steele. Hello, sir. How are we?
Hey, good. Thanks, man. Great to be here.
Thank you very much for your time today, Luke. I do appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man at the moment.
Yeah, depends what you call busy, really. You know, I'm trying to. Yeah, I make myself super busy. You know, to keep from, you know, the voices getting too loud in your head.
Look, it is all relative to whatever is driving that busyness. So I understand that. I can respect that.
Yeah.
Luke, the last time we spoke, I think in September last year about the H3000 record with the lovely Mr. Jared Rogers as well. And around that time, we were discussing songwriting and how it sometimes you'll be working on a project and a song isn't kind of quite right for said project. And there was a little inkling of that this record itself, the one that's coming out today, the solo record, might be coming, but now here it is. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, it is. You know, I think it's taken a while to gather these songs. You know, and I think a lot of the time over the years, people say, "Why don't you do a solo record?" And you say, "Yeah, I should do it," but it does take that certain time in your life. You know, where everything has to be right for it to happen. And, you know, I think for me it took a lot of experiences to actually come up with, you know, enough subject matter that was like good enough and exciting enough to write about. I think, you know, and also finding the ingredients of the music, how to put it together and all that. So it's great I finally found it before I turn 150, you know.
You don't look a day over 100, Luke. Come on. It's
That's right. Yeah.
With the album, as you kind of mentioned, you've been within the music industry for 20-something years now. Sleepy Jackson, Empire of the Sun, Dreams. With that, I guess, yeah, with it finally coming out under your name, is there a sense of, I guess, both pride in the fact that it is all yours, but I guess also a bit of curiosity in the fact that it all is yours as well, in terms of there's no one else to share both the acclaim and whatever else it is that comes with releasing a record?
Yeah, I think all of that. You know, I love collaboration because I've always loved that. You know, the friendship that comes with it. It's a bit like you have your own sort of gang and you kind of, you go out to the world with a record that you've been, jamming at parties together and stuff, and but yeah, it does feel a little bit, lonely when you're doing everything and you kind of, but yeah, I don't know. It's a strange feeling, but it's a good one, I think it's probably time for me to sort of, do this and grow up a bit and kind of make some solo records, I think sometimes you can get, I don't know, maybe a bit cushy in bands and, maybe dilute yourself a bit, because you're not, every man sometimes just has to, leave and head out into the wilderness, It felt a bit like that when the pandemic hit. I've been living 10 years in, Santa Monica, and then we left and moved to this, this big ranch, and so it had a real kind of, I don't know, I guess it was like art imitating life a bit, on this new chapter in my life. Yeah.
The property that you're talking about, and we can see a little bit of it behind you in the background, it is Luke Steele's eccentric farm, which is in Northern California. And very quickly, we have to mention the name of the record. Listen to the Water is the record that we're referring to today. But yeah, I'm curious about how this physical locational change impacted the music that you'd be writing, because I imagine that with a much bigger space, you've kind of got both a different mindset of the music you're creating, but also, and I'm not sure, but the studio, I imagine, might be a little bit bigger there, or depending on what kind of setup you had in Santa Monica, I imagine it allows for a lot more different kind of creative starts, if you will.
Yeah, it's funny. It's real contrasting because some of the songs I wrote when I was back in LA, and it was, I've got to leave the rat race and go hang out with some bears, and it's just, I think, God just holds me accountable for everything I say. I say something like it's time to leave the rat race, go hang out with some bears, and the minute we moved here, it was like 2 weeks in, there was 3 bears, outside my studio, and so I think the next record I'll just write about ice cream or something that's really really calm. But I'm funny like that. I've always been a writer where I've been held accountable for what I've said. So it definitely was different coming up here, because a lot of things that I was talking about, on like I've got to get out now, or I kind of got everything I wanted, and then I'm sort of end up being this rancher trying to deal with like snakes and scorpions and bears, and so it definitely kind of changed me. Like it's sort of like that funny thing. It's like when the pandemic hit, we were still back in the city, and I was, it was like I was 19, and then once it's coming to an end and the record's done, I feel like I'm 185. It's been a real important record for me, like that, like a real change of chapters.
I feel like the last 2 to 3 years has aged everyone in an incredible fashion. Not necessarily looks wise, but in how we feel. But I can very much appreciate that. And this record is, again, I don't think people will be shocked to hear that a Luke Steele contributing record is incredible. But it's a gorgeous record, Luke. It's maybe not what people are expecting from you, but it is incredible.
No, thank you, man. I'm glad you like it. It's quite calm and quite relaxed, and I think it harks back to where I sort of began, in a blues club in Perth, listening to my father play like J.J. Cale songs and things, and pedal steel players and sort of country musicians and stuff. So it was good to kind of get back there,
Yeah, 100%. It definitely has touches of singer-songwriters and troubadours, I guess, of years gone by. It has touches of Bob Dylan, George Harrison. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Swedish current day singer-songwriter, Swedish, the tallest man on earth.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard much of... Is that one guy?
Is he young? Oh, he's in his 30s or 40s. Young guy like us. The track "Dark World" reminded me of that. Both very intimate, very almost conversational kind of songs that you feel that you're just drawn into this kind of beautiful little world. And I was wondering, for "Dark World," I would have to say that's probably one of my two favorite tracks on the record. Where did that kind of inspiration for that song come from?
Oh, yeah, I love that track. It was just different things that were happening at the time. Like, I seem to just still wake up at 3 to 5 every night and just sort of think about everything, and it's, I've got to try and get out of that habit. But, yeah, there was so many each verse has a different sort of story, There was one, like the verse, "What's the story with your flesh?" Is that really your best? Go put on some clothes. Like, I was around at my preacher's house, and it was the Super Bowl, and we had this. He just got this new TV. It was like one of those, 10-meter TVs, and then, J-Lo came on, and she did this giant, like, rock slide, and then right at the end of the rock slide, it's like her crutch ended in the screen, and it was just like, this is so embarrassing, There's like 20 kids here. I'm at my preacher's house, and it was, the state of, the way flesh is thrown around these days. Like, it's like a, G-rated / X-rated kind of, Super Bowl shows. And I thought that was, I don't know, that was for that verse, which is talking about what, what's really happening, what's really happening out there. And then some of the other verses. Yeah, it was just a state about how the world has got, so dark now. Yeah. And it's the level of crime and the kind of the intensity of the crime and the intensity of the drugs and the, and the thoughts and everything. It's just, it's hard to fathom how it's got, so dark. And I struggle with that because I kind of you see what God has to offer, and that this like rich eternal reservoir of goodness, but then it's
This summer, Instacart presents famous summer flavors coming to your front door. Or pool. Or hotel.
Your grocery delivery has arrived, sir.
That was faster than room service.
No violins in the lobby.
Oh, seriously? Anyway, sit back, relax, and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Starring your favorite snacks, drinks, and more. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Rated H for hungry audiences. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions, and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com.
On the other hand, it's gone darker, and it's just, yeah. It's like people are trying to be like the world, but the world's already kind of, disregarded where it's living, and it's moved on to the new world, and it's kind of like this, yeah.
Like a duality almost.
Yeah, it's like I think battle. battle for the, space in the world. Yeah, so yeah, it was good to just spit out a few verses about all that. And sometimes it helps, like the only way you can say something is through a song. Like I talk to people and they go, yeah, and you write something down and then you get abused about it for, so you can put it in the song and then yeah.
It's one of those things where you're going to have your opinion and it's always going to be divisive regardless of how well intended it's going to be.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm finding cool now. I can kind of get out that, all those things that you can't really talk about or say, you can put it in a song. Dylan's done it since the 60s, and, the more you got to say, just the more verses, and so.
I think my other favourite track, which is I think vastly different in subject matter, was My Boy, which is, I believe, originally started as a demo that you came back across a few years later about your son, which is a gorgeous track. I feel just about a father-son relationship. How often do you kind of find that you do come across these, I guess, demos or songs that you previously, maybe what we were discussing last time you're on the podcast, songs that aren't right for the project that you're at the time, but eventually do find their way to a home?
A fair bit, like I'm a bit of a workaholic, I always have to be creating, they talk about like music has a fourth dimensional quality, which means you can break into a realm which is beyond the world, and it's it's a spiritual realm, and it makes things seem impossible possible. So I kind of like to just keep creating and try and live in that world as much as possible. So it's there's a lot of stuff, and it does get frustrating because people always go like, this song is so good, why is it just sitting here, but yeah, it's kind of like that painful thing that you have to wait till it finds its home. Like if it just doesn't work, and a lot of artists know that if it doesn't work, it just won't work, and something will happen, the computer will shut down, or you'll go to sing it and you'll sound like, Mariah Carey or something. There's always a spiritual power that works within songs. So, yeah, I've always said that you got to be like a professional hippie. You have to be professional, but you have to have a pretty big element of you that can let it go. And I still don't know how to do that.
I think just touching on what you said a second ago in terms of always staying busy and always kind of writing, it does seem that the output of one Luke Steele is always kind of always much more impressive than others that we might refer to. I'm curious, when you kind of are continuing to write, continuing to create, do whatever it is, do you find yourself ever getting to a point of maybe not exhaustion, but I guess maybe wanting to step away or kind of clear the mind, clear the head?
Yeah, I find that a bit, and that's what Common Man was about. I just spent 6 months building this tour, and then we toured around America, then went to Copenhagen and Europe and all these places, and then came back, and it was like, oh, you lost this much, and this guy wants more, and this photographer's more, and so that was kind of a waste of time. So you have to go back now on tour to pay for that. I struggle with that because sometimes you just feel like the output that you rip out of you deserves more of a give back, and I found that's what Common Man was about. Was just saying, it was just like, just even though I'm in a position of influence, it's still no one gets everything. You know, you just have to keep working. You know.
100%.
I was just going to say, but this year more than ever has been like the time when I've mentally retired about 10 times. I think with what's happening with the music industry now, I just struggle with it so much because it's just, you know, some guy singing about, you know, some fat chick shaking her ass, is bigger, and the algorithms and the numbers, it's, I struggle with that, so we'll see.
100%. This is what I was about to ask. I know that on the title track, Listen to the Water, there's a line that refers to why does the radio sound so plastic? And I guess, does that play into what you were just saying in this terms of, and I would agree with you that the music industry at the moment, there are incredible kind of finds and there's incredible artists coming through, but a lot of the, I guess, popular mainstream music there's a good percentage of it that is, I want to say soulless. I might get in trouble for that, but it's just numbers. It's as you said, it's kind of like created by the algorithm and trying to just feed a certain demographic where it's not coming from a place of artistic creativity or integrity in a way.
Yeah, it's true. And people can, and it's you can't really talk about it too much because people go, oh, you're old, you're bitter. And it's like, it definitely is so different, it's the standard is, it's definitely lower and it's catered for more like a darker world, which is like, you look at Spotify and it's 95% just people, it's explicit, like, it's explicit world, it's kind of, but people are hungry for it, they're hungry for that world, which is, I struggle with, but you just, it's hard to compete with, so you just gotta, do your own thing and not worry about it.
I think that's the best kind of approach for it, is that you continue to do what you're doing. And I think not just for yourself, there are artists that seem to be bucking that trend and coming up organically through some of that technology as well, which is good as well in terms of showcasing new talent. But it is the thing of, you have to do what is right to you, and at the end of the day, you're the one who has to kind of sit with that for those people who are, singing about ass shaking or whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. It's a funny world because people get led, like sheep to something, and then it's the numbers don't lie, So it's like, well, people must really want to hear about the, shaking or so. Yeah, it's like a paradox, paradox of quality.
Exactly.
It's funny when that Spotify guy said, "Oh, artists, they put out something every 3 years. How'd they expect to?" And that's the problem, because if you're not putting out something every 35 seconds, you're just a lazy artist apparently.
Don't. The fact that man can say that and then buy, what did he buy? Like military tanks with the money that is profited off of artists. That not a huge Spotify household here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Luke, this album, this songwriting, it does kind of harken back, and I know I might get in a bit of trouble for asking this. I'm going to go ahead because I know that people would usually speak to you about whether there's going to be a new Empire record, all these kind of things. I feel that this record, not exactly, but it's the closest that we've gotten to maybe what the Sleepy Jackson previous albums used to be. And I know that there was a mystery third one in the wings. I was wondering whether there was ever any chance of, with this kind of return to songwriting, whether you'd reconsider or whether we could expect in any point in the future, in the years to come, a Sleepy reunion.
Yeah, we've been making the Sleepy record for years, like, and again, it's just sort of, I think people just hate me for it, you know, especially the label, but it has to be, it has to be right, you know. It's kind of, and same with Empire, you know. Empire, we spent years making this fourth record. Went to Japan a couple of times. We worked with Jackknife Lee. We but I've been given that unfortunate favour of, you know, it has to be right, it has to be good, and I can't just put it out, you know. So just still pressing in on a lot of that music and see what happens, you know.
Of course, I don't think just touching on what you said, I don't think anyone's hating you for it. I think the reason why those albums work is because of the desire to want to get it right and want to have it 100%. Yeah. So if it's another 5, 10, 15 years, I think people, myself included, will gladly wait for it to be what it's going to be.
All right. But yeah, it's kind of amazing, the journey, how it all sort of, it all goes, you know, because the Empire record was so beautiful, the stuff we're doing in Japan with Kodo players and all that, and it became so thick and dense that then making something really close and personal counteracts that. So it's quite a privilege to be able to, you know, make music and go on a journey and have people, you know, willing to listen to it.
Yeah, of course. The this new record, as we've discussed throughout this conversation, Luke, it is more stripped back. It's a little bit more bare bones. I think the instrumentation on the record was only yourself, a few acoustic guitars, maybe one synth, and a percussionist. With that in mind, can we expect to see you touring behind this record and possibly revisiting us back here in Oz?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to put that together now. So, again, I'm not sure. I wish I could say. But, I seem to just do everything the complete opposite of everyone else. And, hopefully soon, you know. I think over here it was just so hectic with the pandemic that, you know, we're sort of just trying to get our brains back to normal now and actually start going out again. So I think, hopefully soon.
That will be very, I know, very highly anticipated. People wanting to see you play.
It's good to know.
Like last time you were on the podcast, we were talking about the music you were currently listening to at the time. I think your most played record when we spoke in September, you were listening to the Kanye record, Jesus is King.
Yeah.
Now that we're in May now, what are you currently listening to? And is that still getting a fair spin, or has something kind of taken that record's place?
Oh, God. I should really have this prepared. Can I load up Spotify right now? You know what's a really great record is that last Killers record, which I just thought was... I don't know if that was out then and we were talking about that. It might have come out after that, but...
I think oh my God, what is it called? Pressure Machine?
Yeah, I might have even mentioned that last time, but I keep coming back to... I don't know, I just think for them, and he's just a great writer, you know, Brandon Flowers.
100%. I think that's some of their most subdued but introspective work in years.
Yeah, that's probably like my favourite. But I've been digging this band. I've been writing with these guys in Sweden. They have a band called Vargos and Lagola. They're a real cool band as well. Something with the Swedes, man. Something with the Swedes and their melodies, you know.
They always do seem to have a very fine way around a melody. I would definitely agree with that. 100%. Luke, Thank you very much for your time today. I do appreciate it. Listen to the Water is out today in Australia and worldwide. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast again. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Let's go.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Luke Steele for his time. Listen to the Water is out now, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to buy the record. We also want to give a huge shout out to Mariam at EMI Music for helping out with today's interview. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Are you ready for some hoops off?
Are you ready for some hoops off?
This is legitimately what you see people do right before they're going to fight. They take off their hoops, their earrings, because they don't want to get them ripped out of their ear, and they get ready for battle. Hey, I'm Liz.
And I'm Karen.
And you're listening to Hoops Off from Luminary.
On this show, we take our hoops off to bring you the spiciest, the saltiest takes on each week's games. We'll also be reading books by our favorite players, reviewing Shaq-sponsored products.
And of course, we'll be bringing the tea.
Should I prepare the hot water?
Oh, you better prepare the hot water. Please make sure to follow the show on your favorite podcast listening platform.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.